Hola! Hi, everybody. My name is Van Tapia, and I'm broadcasting live from beautiful Los Angeles, California, and super warm. And I welcome you here to Actor Slash. Today, I'm very excited because we are actually broadcasting from 3 different beautiful countries in North America: Canada, United States, and Mexico. And my guests are amazing because, as they said, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And to prove that, I invited 2 multi-awarded actors, amazing, well-known, that everybody loves and we all know from Canada, from Mexico, and from the US. To start with, I'm gonna bring my first guest. She's Argentinian Mexican. Oh, before we go and I introduce you, I can see already that this event has been shared several times. So make sure you're watching us from Actor/fan page so we can read and we can comment and we can respond to any questions that you may have. So now back again, my first guest that I'm gonna bring to the table today, she just recently went for her 6th nomination on the Ariels and 2 wins. And we're very proud to have her. Let's just give it up for Verónica Langer. Woohoo, Vero!
Hi.
Hola.
Hello, I'm happy to be here with you, with all of us.
Yeah, me too, Vero. I'm very happy that you're here too. But I'm glad you're here because now you're going to help me introduce our next guest, who is logging in from Toronto. He is very well known for his work in movies such as Porky, and then he won a Gemini Award for his job and his work in ENG, and then he's been in other amazing series like Paradise Falls and many more. So help me welcome Art Hindle. Art, hola. Well, I'm going to ask you guys to help me introduce the next person. Why don't you guys introduce your own kids? How about you guys
I don't know.
What
do you think, Veronica? Do you think we should?
You have great things to say about them.
I think. You think we want to share the screens with them? You know, after all, you know, we've raised them, we changed their diapers. I mean, what more do we have to do? You know.
Yeah, I know. But I'm sure you're such a proud parent. So, Vero, let's start with you. Why don't you help us introduce Pablo, your son?
What can I say? I think he's very talented young man who has worked a lot. He's a restless worker, I think. He also likes to do new things, as to change the country where he lives. Now he's living in USA, before living all his life in Mexico. And he's a great director. I think he's great. He's handsome. He's a good, how do you say esposo?
In Spanish. He's a great husband.
Oh, thank you. He's a great husband.
I know the wife.
Well, he's my son. I love him. He's Pablo Aura.
Pablo Aura. I muted you.
He might have got caught up in the fan that was going around over his head.
Pablo, let's see you. Show your video. It's on a stop video. A big applause to Pablo, so maybe he shows up. Venga, Pablo.
I can't. I have this message that says you can't start your video because the host has stopped it.
There. How about there? Oh. Yeah, because you show up before time.
Hey.
So I had to hide you. I was like, yeah, Pablo.
Hey. Thank you for having us, Ángel.
He's a great director. He's a friend, and he is still promoting his amazing movie that we're going to talk about soon. But now let's talk about our last guest. And Art, it's going to be your turn to introduce your own son. I'm sure you have great qualities to talk about him.
Oh, well, where do I start? Okay, I guess I'll start at the beginning. So he was born at noon on January 11th, 1986. No, but that's the boring part. Anyway, no, he's, like Veronica is with Pablo, I'm very proud of him. Always have been. He's always upbeat. He's most good actors, he's very observant. He always picks out details, remember things afterwards. One of the things I really like about him is he's empathetic with people. That's not an easy thing to be. He really, when somebody's having some problems, whether it's just a person on the street or a distant friend or a friend of a friend or something, he really gets involved and tries to find some way to help them out. He's creative. He's only been acting for a couple of years, and already he's produced a feature film. He's produced a web series. He's produced a couple of pilots. He's worked in a couple of feature films. I remember I was working with him on one of his films, and he said, "Do you think I'm getting anywhere?" And he's always comparing to what I did. I didn't do anything the first 2 years that I was an actor. Nobody hired me. I think I did a couple of commercials and stuff like that. So he's way ahead of the game. So he gets along with everyone. And I think the thing I like best about him is he knows all the words to the oldies that from my teenage era. And I don't know how he does it, but one of those old songs from when I was a teenager will come on the radio, and we both start singing along, and it blows my mind. So I'd like to present my son, one of my sons, Zeke Hindle.
Woohoo!
Say,
I couldn't have done it any better. He did.
I can't really live up to that, and half of it's not true. But anyway, it sounds good.
Of course, it is true.
Yeah, it shows what a good actor I am, because I lied about everything.
He is a
We
good actor.
have behind the scenes, my amazing husband, Justin Regis, is going to be helping us with any questions and answers. So remember to share the love, like this Facebook Live, write down your comments. Tell us, where are you connecting from? Where are you watching us from? Perfecto.
Yeah, I'm watching.
Newport
I've
says.
got my. I'm watching the feed, and I'm watching on my phone, and I'm seeing the people coming in, and I'm looking forward to questions, and if anybody has answers, I'm looking for that too.
Yeah, but let's don't get distracted to that, because now Justin is going to help us with this. So
He looks a little stiff though right now.
yeah.
I think he's frozen or something.
Justin is hidden.
I know. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh, okay. He's right behind me, behind that thing right there, that
I
light.
know. You'll learn that about me. Usually, if my lips are moving, I'm joking. So it's hard to.
No, guys, I gotta keep an eye on you, both. Vero,
tell me.
tell us, what have you been doing all these 6 months? You've been pretty busy, being nominated for some awards, amazing awards. And then you've been promoting, you have a movie right now on Netflix.
Yes.
With Mauricio Ockman right now. The one that,
yes, Ahí te encargo. I don't know how to translate that.
That just came out.
Yes, I haven't stopped working, really. I like to do things at home, many things. I am writing, I am learning piano, I cook, I do many things at home. I'm never bored, I could say. And also, I've been working. I am in one soap opera, Liars on Pyre, that we stopped there for 2 months, but later we went on. And also another thing of Netflix that I won't say what is it. That's a secret. And also I am preparing now a monologue I will do in Guanajuato next 25 October, so very soon. So I live in a different way than I used to, but I am doing many things. Days are not long enough for me.
And you see, Vero was a little worried that, what if my English, and she's doing amazing. I think you lied to me. You do speak.
Yeah, no, I am sorry. I am even like this.
Like sweating.
Trying to speak in English.
No, I think she's doing a great job. Art, and how about you? You've been pretty busy. You were just telling us this story that how is it your life to be on set right now during the middle of the pandemic? Like,
Well, yes, it's we have a lot of protocols here. It's a big country here, it goes through 5 time zones.
remember, he's in Toronto.
I'm in
Toronto.
Toronto. I'm in Canada.
Corona, no?
Toronto.
Canada, in
Toronto.
Canada.
Tirana. You
I'm in
said
Tirana.
Tirana.
And,
It's actually past his bedtime, eh?
and so this particular location was out on the very, very East Coast. I don't know if you know that story about when during 9/11 that all the American aircraft had to land in Canada, and they had to land in a little town called Gander, and it became a Broadway play called Come From Away, if anybody knows about it. Anyway, there was about 50 planes that landed with passengers, and this little town of Gander took in all the passengers and fed them and kept them for the couple of weeks that everything was grounded. Anyway, that's Newfoundland. So the whole Atlantic provinces are like states in the United States. They're in what they have their own bubble. And if you come there to work and you're going to be there for a while, you have to isolate, quarantine for 2 weeks. But in my particular case, I was only going there for one scene, one night. So I had to quarantine constantly the whole time I was there. So I took a 3.5-hour flight to Newfoundland, took a transportation to the hotel, and then stayed in the hotel until it was time to work, and then worked for those 4 hours, then went back to the hostel and stayed in the hotel until the cab came and took me back to the airport for the 3.5-hour flight back to Toronto. So it accumulated. They had to give me 2 tests while I was there and get the results of those 2 tests back-to-back days before I could walk on the set. So they did that, but I was 90 hours in the room by myself. There was no windows to open for fresh air or anything like that. The only view I had was,
I absolutely agree with that protocol. I will feel way much safer.
Well,
someone comes to my city.
Yeah.
And then my niece just moved from Mexico City to Vancouver, and they had her stay for 2 weeks in a special place before she could go to college in Vancouver.
Yes.
This is a month ago. And they came and even knock on her door to make sure she was there. So I'm good for Canada. I'm very happy.
Yes, very good.
You probably all
we have in Mexico with that is productions it doesn't have much money, so they make the test and then go and take care of you, everybody with a mask and all that, but it's not possible to do it, not real.
Yeah.
Well, we in Canada we have like usually everything that happens in the States, 10% of that happens in Canada. That's just always the way it's been for years and years, because we have 10% of the population. But we have been affected much less than 10% of the American effect. We've had we've had about 3 or 4% of the deaths that the United States have had. We've had maybe 3 or 4.
We're not supposed to talk about politics.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not talking about politics. I'm just talking about protocol.
I'm glad they're taking the protocols, because as an actors, we need to know that, especially as an actor, you are the only one who has to remove your mask off.
Yes.
Anyone else will keep it on. So that's good.
Go to my Facebook page, and I've done a whole post there on the protocols and how it affects actors actually working on set at the moment, including things like somebody handing you a prop and then they take the prop away and then they come back and give you the prop again. But in this particular case, we were doing some props where they were interchangeable. So I started to think, wait a minute, is this the other actor's
That's true. We have to be careful with everything.
All kinds of tricky things. But,
the lavalier and everything. So, Vero, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You were born in Argentina. And then how was it that you ended up in Mexico? I just love it. I'm just fascinated because you have given to our industry so much. And you've been in so many inspiring movies and TV TV series and everywhere.
But can you repeat the question? I haven't understood.
How did you transit from Argentina to Mexico? ¿Cómo fue que
Well, the
llegaste a
story of
Argentina?
my
The short one.
immigration.
La versión corta.
Oh, the short is it's a very long story. Well, I arrived to Mexico in the 70s, in the end of the 74 year, and that was a political situation in Argentina. There was a dictatorship. My mother was very famous in those years, a psychoanalyst and psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist. Uh-huh.
Yes, and she was threatened.
She was a threat for the country, considered?
Amenazada de muerte.
Ah, she was threatened. Right.
Yes, she was threatened. That's a difficult word to me. And so she had to leave. She was 64 with $2,000 in her purse.
Pocket.
She had to leave Argentina. Were very difficult years. I came to Mexico to be with her for a short period, I thought, because it wasn't, I was very young. I was 21 and at that time. But at last I decided to stay. I married Pablo's father. Well, and so I decided to stay to study theater because I was studying medicine. I was going to be a doctor at that time. And that's the short story.
So when then doing theater, you had to lose your Argentinian accent because it's very Italian. So what happened? How you have to go through
I studied for that. Yes, you in English perhaps you can notice the difference, but to speak is as to speak in English of England, English of Canada, and Canada.
Same in Spanish. It's the same.
There are many different accents, and Argentine accent is very different. I feel in a way that are two languages. I can change. Puedo empezar a hablar como argentina si quiero.
With your friends.
Puedo hablar como mexicana. O sea, I have the two accents inside me. I am both things, Argentine and Mexican.
When Pablo doesn't behave, do you scream at him in Argentinian or Mexican?
No, it's more that when she's with the family, she starts speaking like Argentinian, like this. But otherwise, she's like most people never notice that she is not Mexican.
So Pablo doesn't. Hey, Pablo, no hagas eso. Oh, Pablo, no hagas eso. And then la chancla, zoom, flying the shoe.
No, she's more like a Mexican mother, I would say.
That's excellent. So then movies after theater, movies started with you, and then we know Miroslava, and then you get all these awards, and now you are where you are right now. That's amazing. So happy.
Yes, I like this thing with languages. In Miroslava, I had to learn to speak a little in Czech.
You were the mom, right? You were the mom of Miroslava.
Yes. How do you say Checo in English?
Czech.
Czechoslovakian?
Yeah.
Yes.
Miroslava was from Czechoslovakia, so she was playing the mom.
Sing a little song, and I love it. Another film, I had to learn to speak in Yiddish. So that's nice to me. I like to change when I have to work with.
So you're good with accents and with languages. That's
yes,
fabulous.
I love that.
That's very good. In art, I have a question. I read somewhere that, for instance, on Face Off, one of your first movies,
yes,
you didn't know how to ice skate.
No.
And no sabía cómo patinar. And then your role required to do that, but you didn't tell them, so you had to learn. But you booked it
exactly
for 2 months. That was the whole rolling, and you became an expert.
The actual skating, it's kind of the equivalent for Pablo and Veronica is if you were chosen to be the actor who plays a character who is the best young soccer player in the world, who is now turning professional, and they pick an actor who cannot play soccer. That was the equivalent of it. So so they picked me. They saw me skate around the rink once, and I could do that. But if they'd asked me to skate twice or skate backwards or something like that, I wouldn't be here right now, probably. So yeah, so I did that. And meanwhile, while I was filming and doing all the dramatic scenes, later on, I was going to the skating rink at night and on the weekends and in the mornings when I wasn't working, whenever I could, and skating with professionals who were there, who weren't playing for a professional team, but who were keeping in shape in case a professional team needed them from injuries or whatever. So I was playing with them. And I remember the first time I showed up, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the professional team that I was portraying, they gave me some equipment with their name on it. And I went to this rink. And so the players were picking players to play. And they picked me first because they saw that I had this professional equipment on, and then that was the last time they picked me first because I was pretty bad. But 2 months later, I skated out on the rink, and one of the professional players who had seen me skate 2 months earlier came over and whispered to me, and he said to me, "How did you do that?" So I was very proud of that moment, where he said, "That was amazing how you did that." So, and by the way, about accents, I started out acting in Canada. And then after about 6 years here, I moved to the States because there wasn't much work here in Canada.
For 30 years, right? You live in...
And I lived in the States for 30 years. Zeke has never really lived in Canada except for the odd time when I brought him up for a few months or a few weeks at a time.
To visit.
But when I went down there, back then, being from Canada meant nothing. It's not like today where, Ryan Gosling and... you have these great actors coming down and people are excited about it if you are Canadian. And
the same happens to Mexicans nowadays.
Yeah, so I'd go for a meeting, Pablo, and I'd end up my accent. Sometimes Canadians say house. They shorten it. They say house or about. And the producers or the directors would pick up on that. And suddenly the meeting went from a creative conversation about this role and things like that to where I was a trained SEAL, and they were saying, "Oh, say house, say about, say mouse." They started laughing. So I trained myself to speak with an American accent. And when they asked me, they said, "Oh, you're new in California. Where are you from?" And I would say back east. And then they would say, "Oh, you miss New York?" And I'd say, "Oh yeah, I miss New York." And so I solved that problem. But
did you see that picture that I just shared?
Yes.
That looks like your son Zeke so much.
Yeah, people say that about I don't know if it bugs him, but I'm kind of happy about it,
Yeah.
Does it bug you, Ashley? Does it
really, really, really?
I enjoyed your story, Art. How did I know you're going to talk about Canada for an hour?
It's amazing. Look at that. Except not so blonde.
Yeah, that's the hockey player sitting on the bench perspiring. You can see some perspiration flowing down.
And I was reading that they also were considering changing your name.
That was my first film, which was actually this cheapo film. It was with a real motorcycle gang called the Satan's Choice. And the producers came to me and they said, "We don't know if Art Hindle will look good on the marquee." So, and this was around the time of Easy Rider was a big hit, with Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda. Yeah. So they gave me some choices and a list of choices, the first names and the last names. And I saw this name Jeremy, and I'd been working that day in a cemetery, and I saw the name Jeremiah. It was an old cemetery, and it's an old name. And I thought, that's a nice name. And then on the second thing, and they took this to a private girls' school, and they said, "What's his first name? What's his last name?" Right. So, and on the second line, I saw Kane, Kane, and that happens to be the last name of my uncle, who was a well-known actor, Michael Caine, not the English Michael Caine, Canadian, Kane. And so I said, "Okay, I'll pick Jeremy Caine," right? Because I thought that was what you do. And then I phoned him and I said, "Hey, Michael, I'm going to be Jeremy Caine. I'm going to be like you,
All excited.
And he said, "No, you keep your name. You got a good name, and don't do that. Don't ever do. If you do that, I'll be really mad." And all that. So I didn't do that. Now, the
Good.
funny thing is, if you look up on IMDb, the first film, and the film is called The Proud Rider, and you look down the cast list, you'll see my name. You'll also see Jeremy Kane.
Uh-huh.
And that's the only gig Jeremy Kane ever did. So it's
The only credit. That's
kind of a funny
interesting.
thing, yeah.
How about you, Zeke? Does anybody have tell you that? Because like when we went to Mexico, everybody were like, Zeke, 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 right? I'm sure you get all these because we don't have the Z sound.
Sick. It's like an S.
Uh-huh.
I mean, in regards to me and my dad looking similar, someone bugs me a lot about it, and it's actually the Facebook facial recognition algorithm that keeps tagging us. I guess I don't know what markers they use on their face or whatever it is, but for some reason, every single picture my dad posts, and if you follow him on Facebook, you know he posts a lot of pictures of himself, selfies. He's the selfie king. And because he's the selfie king, I get tagged on pretty much the daily basis, every picture he posts. So that's kind of a drawback. The positive side of it is I know that he actually is my father, you know, which is
yeah, at least they're not confusing you with someone else or a criminal or anyone. So Pablo and Zeke, this question is for you both. How much of responsibility or how many benefits or not benefits does it have to be the son of these amazing movie stars? Do you feel like my dad was the sixth best player in the world in tennis? So my brothers, my brothers from my dad's second marriage, they were kind of like expected to be as good as my dad's.
What was his name?
Eugenio El Gato Tapia. He beat Jack Kramer. And when I'm talking about, if my dad was alive, I was from the second marriage and I was one of the youngest. He would be like 110 years old right now if he was alive. So I'm talking about in the 1920s. So the thing is, both of my brothers, they exchanged a tennis racket for 2 badminton, and they became champions in badminton instead. Yeah. How about you guys? Is it like, especially music, but does it help to be the son of someone like Veronica or Art, or is it too heavy, or is it like, gosh, I have to be like them, or do you compare yourselves or you embrace yourself? Let's start with you, Pablo. You've been so quiet.
Oh yeah. No, actually, it's funny because let's say I always wanted. I grew up in the stages. You know, I grew up watching theater rehearsals, and for me, it was always like a second home, or I don't know. I was either at home or in school or in theater stages because both of my parents were actors. So I would say that for me, when I was like 20 years old, I decided that I wanted to be a film director. And then after that moment, everything started to feel very natural because it was this place that was already like a home to me. So I would never say that it's hard. I mean, of course, you look up to your parents very much, but in another way, it's like, I don't know, because filmmaking is like, it's always been like a family thing, you know? I mean, I think for every one of us, I mean, because it requires so much effort that it goes beyond just work or just whatever is your profession. You do it because you love it. So somehow it always encompasses the family. So I would never say it's a weight. It's more like a huge inspiration. And yeah, I mean, and the coolest part of it is whenever I get to work or direct my mother. That's the craziest and coolest experience ever. So it happened to me a couple of times.
And why you chose to be a director and not an actor? Did you feel like, did it cross your mind to become an actor?
Yeah, well, I was an actor since I was a kid.
So you've been doing your pininos, your acting.
Yeah, since I was a radio host when I was very young, and then I was in a soap opera for a while, and then I've been an actor also in several projects. But I don't know, I was always very fascinated about cameras and I don't know, the thing that happens in the back and actually how all that world works. It's always been very fascinating to me. Although I don't know, maybe I'm a bit shy and that's why I don't act so much. But I would say that it's also something that comes to me naturally as well. So I would do it as well if I could, but I don't know, you have to pick, you know?
Perdón.
We cannot hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I didn't want to interrupt. Well, that's fantastic. I want to talk about Infección, your movie, in a moment because it's so accurate on what's going on right now.
Influencia.
Yo acá con la infección. Zeke, how about you? Because you were a tennis player sensation. You were traveling all over Mexico, North America, Canada, United States, and Mexico. Yes, people, Mexico is part of North America. And then you learn some Spanish and all that. And then switch. You decided to go on the acting and follow your dad's steps. When did that happen?
Un poquito español. No, but yeah, so I kind of have an interesting story about that where basically I think when I was younger, it was a little bit more of honestly like a negative for me, you know, because my mom and dad both acted and I kind of saw the good, the bad, and the ugly of kind of Hollywood in a way. And, you know, my dad sort of, he was out of town because he on ENG, you know, he got a big role and it was big. It was the biggest kind of job he'd ever got. I mean, not the biggest job, but just sort of a huge step in the right direction. And he'd been struggling in LA for a while and all that and got a really big deal. So then he had to go away. So it was sort of like when I was younger, he has to go to Canada to kind of do his thing. And so, you know, that was kind of conflict for me a little bit, you know, losing my dad in a way to success sort of. But then, so, you know, then I wanted to play tennis kind of. I got addicted to tennis and then kind of dropped everything for tennis and sort of went that direction for a while. And then just sort of when I was about 28, I got a world ranking in tennis, actually in Mazatlan, Mexico, which is pretty cool. And then so I always have a good feeling about Mexico. But then I was getting confident. I was doing well, and I was thinking about, you know, taking the next step in tennis, sort of. But then I had a knee injury, and it was just very hard to keep going in tennis and traveling and raising money and doing the whole thing. So I came back to LA and was kind of figuring out what to do, and I started taking some acting classes and kind of rebonding with my dad and kind of getting over a lot of our old issues, father-son issues, and things like that. And then so I started taking acting classes, and then that actually was a way where we could actually bond on things. And I took about 2 years of acting classes and then kind of felt like I wanted to do something. So I had me and my writer-director friend, Joel, we created Happenstance, which was a very personal film to me. I kind of based a little bit of it on my life, but kind of very, very fictionalized, but it was very personal for me. And then, so we basically just, me and him just did everything on that film.
Happenstance is like 60% of your life almost, right? Like, yeah, I remember.
It was a lot. Starting it, you know, I always encourage people to do whatever they want really with filmmaking, but it is hard, you know, like I went through a lot of stuff to make it happen. So it's sort of, it was good. But if I had known how much I went through ahead of time, I might not have done it. So it's kind of good sometimes.
No, I'm glad you did. You ended up in Cannes.
Yeah, we got
your movie.
And we finally got a distribution deal. We're working on getting that out on all the platforms right now. But I'll send some links out and stuff. We have one on Vimeo right now. But anyway, yeah. So then we got to bond. I actually had my dad in the movie. He kind of bookends the movie. We have him in the first scene and the last scene. And you'd have to see the movie I don't want to give it away, but it's a great role. So we flew him into town, did it. You know, we did it SAG, we did it all above board and all that. It was a lot of fun. And I learned how to do the contracts and stuff. And actually right now I'm in entertainment law school as well. So that's kind of adding another.
Isn't that amazing that he's studying entertainment law?
Yeah,
to be a law.
It's at Southwestern in Koreatown. So it's a good school and all that. And it's funny because now we've come full circle and my dad is playing tennis every day and I'm working.
You are art, really?
Yeah.
I play every day. I play every day for about 2 or 3 hours a day.
That's amazing.
So we've totally switched because now I'm working on acting or creating or writing or producing or some kind of business side to entertainment, every day too. So it's kind of a funny thing. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it. It's good now. It's really fun. He gives me a lot of advice and everything, and we're able to kind of get projects done because of his weight, in the industry kind of thing. So that's exciting.
You want to talk about Impostor Society? Because I know you presented already with Actor Slash last year, one of the episodes, and you're like now with 8?
Yeah, we have 6 total episodes. 6. Some are in various forms of post-production. We have that concept trailer that's on my Instagram. That's sort of the idea of it, kind of all the episodes we got combined, and we're still working on it and kind of pitching it around and things like that and buttoning it up. And then I also have this other one called Late Bloomers that we're pitching around as well. It's kind of a fun comedy about 30-somethings in LA, sort of figuring out what the next thing to do with their life is. They've kind of had a reasonable amount of success, but now they're trying to figure it out. So yeah, it's interesting. It's fun. It's exciting. And I love creating, but it's also fun to kind of work on it and figure out how to make money off it and how to get it out there to a bunch of people and how to do all that. So it's exciting.
It's amazing. I'm very proud of you. And I love it. Every time I see like, oh my God, now he's on his 6th. Pablo, you want to talk about your movie?
Sure. Yeah. My film is called Influencia. It was.
No, I was close.
Not that much. It's called Influencia, and it was released in film festivals a year and a half ago. And the funny thing about the movie is that it's about the pandemic and how the characters relate to that. And
how accurate.
We wrote the script maybe already 8 years ago, and of course we never thought this was going to happen. But when I see all the jokes and things at the moment seemed a little weird, but I think now we all have been joking about it. I don't know. It's very strange that we did a movie about that, and very cool at the same time. And yeah, right now the movie was going to be released in Mexican theaters in May, but then the pandemic hit, and so the movie about this pandemic had to be postponed. So yeah, now the idea is to release it maybe on February or March. I really want for people to go to the movies to see it. So I don't know, maybe it's not like what most people would do, but I definitely want to wait until I can have a release on the theaters, at least, even if it's a limited one, and then from there move to the platforms. We already have a deal with a distribution company in the States. But yeah, that's the plan, to release it next year in Mexico in the theaters, and then see what happens from there. And I hope that people will feel, identify with the characters because they are living through this pandemic.
And you even have a character that wears a mask the whole time, but not the mask that we have in mind, but like it's like a butterfly mask or something, right?
Yeah.
That got my attention, like, wow. So we have questions from the public, from our audience. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. Justin just sent this one. We're going to start addressing this because we have now 15 minutes to end this. For everybody, Harriet Beerholz Knight. She has a question for Zeke, but let's make it for everybody. What project do you have planned next? What's on your plate?
Start out, Zeke.
Okay, yeah, just like I said, there's Impostor Society that's on Instagram Live. We just have a concept trailer, but we're trying to pitch it to kind of try to get some real funding behind it, sort of, to get that going. We also, again, have a similar thing called Late Bloomers, where we have both the pilot shot and kind of both a sizzle reel trailer thing ready to go and all that. And then there's a couple other projects I'm attached to, one called Buddies that might be like a Netflix comedy at some point. We're not sure how that's going to go. It's in pre-production, but it's looking good. And then a couple other projects that I'm working on script-wise and sort of that are in post-production, and we're gonna either do as like a feature or a short or kind of as a series, kind of various levels of production. So yeah.
How about you, Vero? ¿Qué tienes en
Well, I have some theater projects One is to continue with my monologue, as I told you, and because we had planned to present it at the theater, but well, it was postponed also, but we are going to do it next year for sure. Also, productions are trying to begin, many film productions. I am there waiting for some projects to if they are going to begin or not. And I also doing this soap opera that I told you, and well, waiting for some projects I have here waiting. I prefer not to say because
Yeah, I know, I get you. It's better when they are happening.
yes,
What
yes,
happened.
exactly.
You're also a teacher. You were teaching.
Yes, I
some
teach
classes.
also. I teach in.
What do you teach?
Well,
Is it drama or any?
yes, drama sometimes writing, creativity,
Creativity or
writing.
creating characters or something like that?
Yes, and also screenplay. No, guionismo.
Screenwriting? Oh, screenwriting. Yeah.
Screenwriting. I was close. So sorry.
Yeah, you were very
because I write also. I love to write, and so I'm doing many things, but things go step by step. And well, I'm sure that many things are going to happen very soon. It's a special moment that everybody is trying to go on.
Yeah, will do. So this message is for Art. I want to know what's on your plate. And Rodrigo in Australia, in Sydney, Australia, he says that his kids are enjoying this interview. And he says Art was Fred Perry's mate?
No, he's talking about Veronica's, your father.
Fred Perry's mate.
Fred Perry was a tennis player in the 40s, and he was a partner of your dad.
Ah, of course. So
Yeah,
he's a
that's who he's
tennis
talking about.
player. So
I'm
my
not
dad-
that old. Not that old. I was not the partner of Fred Perry.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Yeah,
But I did play your dad one time, and it wasn't pretty. Okay, so let's get
Okay. So Art, so what are you doing now? What are you working on right now?
I'll be brief. I've got that series out in the Atlantic coast in Newfoundland, and you guys, when you get off, go and look up Newfoundland and see where it is. It's very close to England, out in the middle of the ocean. I did a film with Richard Dreyfuss called Astronaut, and we were going to be opening in theaters, but when this all happened, so that's now, I think it's now streaming. I did another film that I'm very proud of, a little film called Robbery, where I play an old criminal, a career criminal with dementia. And I was very good in that because I just used my own dementia to play that role. And then my tennis is coming along so well, I think I'm going to go out on tour. So that's everything I've got in the future. Oh, there's a film that has been delayed because of insurance. That's the other big problem with a lot of films these days, as you all know, is film productions getting insurance with the pandemic. They have to be added, right, Pablo?
Yeah. Especially in LA, it has been very hard because the costs of filming have gone much higher because,
protocols, right? Protocols. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pablo, everybody that walks onto a set has to get a thing stuck on their forehead, and they have to go through all these protocols, and the makeup trailers are covered with plexiglass and saran wrap, and you name it, and people have got, the makeup artists have masks on and shields. So it's crazy.
So Pablo, what are you doing? Because you've been incredibly busy. You were like shooting for 2 weeks in a row, and you were hard to be found, and you do a lot of videos, commercials, a lot of, what have you been doing?
Yeah, well, it has been a bit strange. When the pandemic started, I was like, everything shut down. I thought that we were going to be like no projects at all for a year or something. I had this movie that in theory was already funded, and that stopped. And so after that, I started to get some advertising projects and some weird stuff, well, that us directors have to do sometimes. And then after that, I got a documentary project that is amazing that I don't know, I think I cannot say because it's just happening right now, but it's for Amazon and it's for a very important rock band, and I'm super excited about that. And then apart from that, I am doing a TV series that has to do also with the pandemic and with the Mayan prophecy. And yeah, I wrote a screenplay for a horror movie. So yes, I have been doing a lot of things. And yeah, I hope that, I mean, all these projects, you know how difficult it is sometimes to find funding or to package these projects is not easy, but yeah, there's a lot of things happening right now, which is very cool.
Well, I'm glad. I'm very happy to hear. So Johnny wants to know who is your father, Pablo?
Who's my father? My dad was Alejandro Aura, and he was a very, let's say, he was a very important person in the culture scene in Mexico, because he was a writer, he was an actor, and he had a theater. I mean, he had a theater, and then he also had TV shows and radio shows. And then later he was culture minister for Mexico City. And so he's very well known in Mexico, maybe not so much for the younger generation, but for the older generation. A lot of people have read his books, or a lot of people saw his TV shows. So yeah, he was very well regarded. Yeah, Alejandro Aura, you can look for him on the internet. Yeah. He was an amazing poet. He has a lot of poems and short stories. Poet. Yeah.
So Johnny also wants to know who Veronica's mother was. You mentioned that she was a psychiatrist, right?
Yes, more than a psychiatrist, she was a psychoanalyst. She was born in Vienna in the beginning of the 20th century, and she studied there in Sigmund Freud's institute. She was a real psychoanalyst. But she met my father, and then they went to the Spanish Civil War. But then Hitler was in Europe, was in Austria, annexed Austria to Germany, so they couldn't go back to Austria, and so they went to Argentina, and there she became a very, very famous psychoanalyst. Mary Langer was her name. And very well known there since today, even since today. So I have an extra work with that, because we have all her archives, and I have all the time people calls to me to interview me about her, and they write thesis about her. So she was really feminist. She was a great woman, fighter. Very lefty, I have to say.
Right. See, was your mama? Is your mom an actor too? So you got it from both?
Yeah, she was. My dad could probably tell you a little bit more about that. She was. She was originally a ballerina, like a prima ballerina, and really amazing. And then she came out from DC. I think she went to New York or DC to New York kind of thing, and was dancing, and then kind of
New York City Ballet and the Joffrey Ballet. She danced at both of them, Zeke.
Yeah.
That's
and then she came out. Yeah, and then she came out to LA to work as an actress, and she got some work, and she did pretty good. And then she married my dad and kind of helped him with his career a lot, because he was sort of doing kind of bigger things than her at the time. So they kind of worked together for a while, and then once they had me, then I was 3 years old, and then my mom was working doing other things, and then my dad got ENG in Canada, so he had to leave LA, and then he was kind of coming back and forth and had a house here and all that stuff. So it was cool.
So Art, now you have to divide yourself between Los Angeles, Canada, like have children all over to visit all the grandchildren?
I have children. I have a daughter in Vancouver. I have a daughter that lives south of Zeke near San Diego. I have a son that lives in Toronto. I have another son that lives up north of me, about 50 miles north of me. He's not in the business at all. My son, who lives in Toronto, Mark, is a video playback, Pablo, and he's one of the best in the country. And he's worked on a lot of films. You know, if you look up Mark Hindle later, you'll see that he's worked with some big people. And yeah, so I have 5. Zeke's the late one. He's very young, and you know, I thought when the youngest, my other 4, when the youngest was about 14 or 15, I thought I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, because you know how difficult it is raising kids, Veronica. And suddenly Adrian said, "I want to have a baby."
You know, I'm coming from a family of 10.
Oh my God.
10 children. We're 10 from 2 different marriages. I'm from the second one, and I'm like in the younger middle. But
yeah, it's very funny how complicated Mexican families are. Whenever I have so many cousins and aunts and uncles.
You have an actress, right, sister? Maria
Aura, yeah, she's my sister, half sister, and she's also an actress.
I want to invite her next.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
By the way, Pablo, I have to say, and it's been the whole time I've been watching this, it's crazy, but you know who you remind me of and kind of look like?
Who?
our country's leader.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah. Justin Trudeau.
Justin Trudeau?
Really?
Yeah, he's
I viewed it
kind
myself, and I told my husband, he looks like a friend from Mexico City. He has tons of doubles everywhere.
Yeah, he looks like Justin. I know Justin, and I can't get over it. I keep doing a double take every time. How did Justin?
Well, that's cool.
You could, huh? You could.
Well, maybe he's my distant cousin.
Yeah,
he's got
families
the same.
Are complicated.
Oh, so no.
We have another one in Mexico City who speaks just like you. So, guys, we have to go now, but I am so beyond grateful and thankful that you all 4 accepted to be part of this amazing panel. There's a lot of comments that I can see, Zeke and Hindle and everybody. I don't know how you guys managed to go both. Have replied already, but go after and address most of the comments that you can. Where can you be found? What is your website so everybody can follow you, or your fan page? You want to share about what's your social media, like actor slash? It's all actor slash.
No, I don't have a website. I'd like to have a website, but I don't have one.
Me neither.
But basically, a lot of people find me. A lot of producers, directors, and just fans and people like that find me on Facebook. I'm pretty open there. You know, you can just I'm under my own name with a moniker I use sometimes called I call myself Artocrat.
Artocrat.
It's just
on
a joke.
Instagram, you're Artocrat.
Autocrat, yeah. But just Art Hindle on Facebook. You know, I usually answer most people. I don't necessarily. Some people want to be on my friends list, but I don't take people.
You don't know. I agree.
Yeah, I can't.
Same thing with me, Zeke Hindle, on Instagram, you know, Facebook and all that. You can just look me up, Zeke Hindle, on Google, and it should all come up.
And I'm Twitter. I'm also Twitter too. Art_Hindle.
I am as Veronica Langer everywhere, and I don't have a page neither, but in Facebook and Instagram, also Twitter, but I don't use it very much.
In Twitter, you're short. Vero?
In Twitter, oh, thank you.
You're short. I remember because I tagged you.
Okay. Veronica, you have to accept my friendship quest.
You guys become
I
friends.
have accepted, yes.
Pablo?
You're very close.
Yeah, you can find me as Pablo Aura everywhere in Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and I will accept everyone.
Don't accept the strangers. Okay, so
sometimes you'll find me in the post office on the wanted posters, you know, front and side view. You know?
That's old school, Pop.
You'll see me there and there, you know.
Well,
Cool.
For anyone who's watching, thank you so much for joining. My name is Vanje Tapia. You can find me as Vanje Tapia everywhere. My website is vanjetapia.com, and social media for actor slash everywhere, all the handles in actor/.com. We'll be posting this tomorrow on Instagram. in YouTube. And I really appreciate everybody that is here. Justin, show yourself, reveal yourself, or mute yourself, sweetie. So no, you're not there? He's not there anymore. You don't want to join us for the picture, for the memory?
His headshot looks good. His headshot.
Let's take a memory picture.
Oh, here you are, Justin.
Oh, look, he's always.
There's Justin, who's been helping us with the messages and with the everything. So thanks again, everyone who joined. I'm going to take a screenshot
of this moment.
Hey, Zig, Pablo, put your camera down. I'm going to take a screenshot.
Take a photo.
Okay.
You got one, Pablo?
Without glasses.
Take the vertical, horizontal shot.
Yes, I will. So everybody.
I think he did. Okay.
2,
Let's do it
3.
again.
No, wait. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. So there you go.
Well, thank you so much, Vanje and Justin. This was a lot of fun. Veronica, Pablo, great. And
be safe.
Great to meet you guys. Very great
time. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanje. You are the best.
You are the best, Vanje.
Talk to you soon.
Wear a mask. Wear
masks.
Yes, please.
Behave. And if you cannot be good at it,
I don't have it. Like this.
Oh, ow.
Se portan mal, pero se cuidan bien.
Nos vemos.
Muchos besos.
Besos. Bye.
Besos.
Adiós.
Bye.
Adiós.
Adiós.